Two drunk assholes talking about whatever comes to mind. We present Filler with Jack Flake and Rob Harper. Episode 2, Childhood Sci-Fi. Filler is Jack and my insane rambling. Continuing our soul-searching about our childhood memories, Jack and I delve into sci-fi that shaped us as kids, especially Doctor Who. Please do note that we are extremely drunk during these recordings, so if we do sound like unintelligent fools, just forgive us.
I love Black Hole. I haven't seen that forever. I'd love to see that.
I watched it again when I was in my late teens, and it didn't hold up.
No, I heard that about it.
Don't.
I love the robot with his spinny.
Maximilian. And he goes right there.
I used to have a little, what's the other guy? The little robot with the broken leg? Yeah, Bob. Yeah.
Oh, Maximilian. Anthony Hopkins. No, Anthony Hopkins. Anthony Perkins.
Oh, is that?
He holds the book up. No!
Oh, yeah, it goes through, yeah.
And they don't show it because the book's between you and the camera.
Yeah. But he gets zapped.
But
it doesn't hold up yet?
No.
The special effects or the story?
The story... The special effects were passable at the time. But again, this is now 10, 20 years ago.
I don't know, I have the ability to see a movie in its time frame, and the special effects never affect me. I always look at it and go, okay, this is from the 80s or 70s. I understand that's going to have the blue screen's going to have a little line around it. Maybe Doctor Who. That's another influence that I am accepting of poor special effects.
That's something we both latched onto very, very...
Where it's like, it doesn't affect me. Where some people are like freak out if it doesn't look picture perfect. I'm like, whatever. It's a story for me more. As long as it pertains to the story.
So I don't remember exactly, but as a kid I had Black Hole wallpaper. I remember
I did too. Yep. With the ships.
Blue and the ships going down, and it had like satellite things, and it was fantastic, and I had the toys. I was all about the Black Hole.
Yeah, Black Hole was big. It was Disney, wasn't it? Disney?
Yeah, and I had the bed sheets.
I had all the toys too. I remember having Bob, and I think I had Maximilian too.
Shreddies came out with these, and they'd hold pencils.
Yeah, I had those. Yeah, it was different colors. They were all different colors.
Oh, and I had those.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I'm thinking I was probably in my 20s, maybe even. I'm gonna watch this, and I was like, watching it.
That's like today. I watched Death Race 2000, and I was like, "Oh, this will be fun." And I was like, "Yeah, it sounds like fun." It's not as good as you remember it.
Because I watched that as a kid.
I remember as a kid I saw it, and I was like, "This is too scary for me. I can't watch it. It's too bloody." And I'm like, watch it today. I'm like, "This is nothing."
I was scared of David Carradine.
Yeah, Frankenstein.
Because my Oma was alive at the time, and she died when I was before I was 13. Mm-hmm. And I'm watching TV, but she also didn't like Star Trek. I saw Star Trek when the original one with Pike and the aliens with the heads. And she's like, "Why are you watching this?" And I'm like, "Oh, because it's awesome. It's science fiction. It's
at the time you take anything, right?
It's
that's why the only reason Star Trek I think survived so long is because at the time there was nothing else.
But also, there's people who have an odd bend and they touch that odd bend.
Yeah, but I think if there had been like as much science fiction as there is now back then, Star Trek wouldn't have lasted.
There wouldn't have been the science fiction we have now if it didn't.
Yeah, that is a question. But I'm just saying, like at the time, that was it. If you like science fiction, that was it. There was nothing else.
But I
literally, other than movies, like there's movies,
But I remember watching Death Race.
Yeah.
Because she lived with us, and basically she was just quiet. She stayed in the corner, whatever. She was
just a fixture.
she had a bad heart. Her husband died years ago. She was just happy. She lived through the war. She was just happy to be someplace
safe. Yeah.
She, so she didn't rock in the boat. There was no waves made there.
Yeah.
So it was like, I'm gonna watch Star Trek. Oh, look, they got the big heads.
And they just freaked her out.
And the pipes to it, the thing. I remember, and she's just like, "Why are you
That was a fucked up episode.
And I'm like, I don't know, but it's...
A trial or whatever it was called?
It's blowing my mind. It is blowing... This is not...
See, as a kid, I never watched Star Trek. I never was into Star Trek. Like, even to this day, I've probably seen maybe 10 Star Trek episodes. Original Star Trek. I was never into that stuff. Even Batman, I never really saw until I was a teenager.
The show.
It was Doctor Who for me. For that kind
Yeah.
of shit, it was Doctor Who, because PBS, I watched from probably way before I should have watched it. Before I could understand it, I watched Doctor Who. 5, I would say.
I don't know if I was that young, but I
was
used to
young.
watch hours.
Yeah.
Tom Baker.
Well, every day
and
at 6:30 or whatever it was. Yeah, it would be when I first started watching it was Pertwee, and then they went into Tom Baker. And I never. That's the thing. Like nowadays, we're so used to watching every single episode of everything. I never caught every single episode.
No.
Something would come up and I'd miss it, but
I was thrilled to get the middle 2 of the 4
Yeah.
that.
I rarely see the end of anything.
No, I never saw shit.
Nowadays, I have them all on disc. I've watched every single one.
So on Sundays when they showed that,
I actually have it on my computer.
the whole arc, the 4.
See, I never saw it those days. I always saw it at 6:30 every night. They'd show a different episode. I'd try to watch it, and then
I had a TV that I'd bring into the bathroom. I'd get in the bathroom.
oh, nice.
I was sitting there and I'd watch
See, like I'll wrinkle it because you watch the whole Doctor Who
Well-
series that was 2 hours.
Well, it was supposed to be like, I'm just going to watch a half an hour while I'm scrubbing my naughty bits and doing whatever,
Especially if Romana was on it.
And all of a sudden I'm like, I just watched that whole thing.
Yeah.
And then there'd be that broad, PBS, if you don't.
Yeah, I hated the pledge drives.
And I'm like, no, come on.
Pledge drives were the worst.
The Cybermen are coming. What are you?
Yeah.
You stupid bitch.
And then once in a while when we go to my dad's friend's house in Toronto, like they have friends in like Burlington, they live in Burlington, and they'd get TVO, which we never got TVO. And they'd have the new like Peter Davison ones, and I'm like, what the fuck's this? Like it's all different and new, and I was like, weird. This is weird. This isn't Tom Baker or John Pertwee. What the hell's going on? And they'll be like, I have no idea. I didn't like them. Even to this day, I don't like Peter Davison because it was different.
Yep.
I was so used to the John Pertwee and the.
There's 2 doctors that I don't like. And it is because there's the one with the celery stalk on his...
Yeah, that's Peter Davison.
That's Peter Davison. And there's the one with the Mo Howard kind of haircut.
The curly hair?
No, just flat kind of...
Oh, the.
oh, no.
Yeah, he's. I think the one with he wore like a flat brimmed hat.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Sylvester McCoy.
Sylvester McCoy. Those two I hate because they were the ones they were filming when I was watching.
Yeah, Sylvester McCoy for sure when I was watching this. Yeah.
And I'm like, no.
And there was one in between those two. He was the one with the blonde curly hair.
Yes.
Colin Baker.
Colin Baker.
And his stories at the time, you're like, oh, those are terrible. But then you watch them back, they're pretty good. And same with Sylvester McCoy's stories. They were actually pretty good, too. Peter Davison, yeah, he was just the one that wasn't my doctor. Like, John Pertwee was my first doctor. Tom Baker, obviously, is everyone's doctor. That's everyone's doctor. Like, he's the best.
I thought so until I hear everyone's talking. They're either Matt Smith...
Matt Smith's good.
Or...
the one before him, what's his name? Anyways, what the fuck's his name? God damn.
Not Destro, but...
No, he's not. Yeah, he was Eccleston. Chris Eccleston.
Chris Eccleston.
He was the first one. Second was. See, I'm trying to trick myself into remembering his name. Fuck. He's good. He's probably my second favorite doctor. He was good.
If only we had the internet, access to the internet.
On a phone right at my fingertips.
Yeah.
I'll remember it before I actually get to it. But anyways, he's my second favorite. He was really good. But well, maybe not my second. Maybe my third. Because I do like John Pertwee. Because he was action. And Unit, that's another thing that influenced me a lot, is Unit. That
100%.
Military and like weird things happening around military, that's right in my wheelhouse.
If you were to say one of the defining things that is very much...
Yeah. That's big. Because it's like, yeah. Just a military group and their Brigadier.
Brigadier.
He's my fave.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie. I rolled about 100 tears when I think it was Matt Smith goes, I'm just calling to talk to the Brigadier, and
He passed away.
He passed away every.
When he really passed, when Alistair, or what? Let's call him by his real name. Alistair Stewart. That's his Brigadier.
Yes.
But when he really died, I was upset because he is my favorite character. I think of all Doctor Who.
Yes.
Like, not the Doctor, but character.
Yes.
He was so good.
Yes. And I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, when they announced on the show he was pretty much.
That was so classy, the way they did it,
Yeah.
too. Where they were.
And he was upset, like, he was like, what? He's always there. Because he's been around since the second Doctor. He's been forever.
Forever.
So yeah, it was like, yeah, his reaction was just like, what?
Like, he was supposed to be a fixture in my life for the rest of eternity.
Yeah,
Like,
he was just
he's
like,
almost another Doctor.
yeah, the
because
way he
he's-
acted, it was great. David Tennant, of course.
Yeah.
He's good. But yeah, just the way he acted, that was a great, like, at first when Matt Smith came as a Doctor, I was like, I don't like this. He's a little too wacky, but he's a good Doctor, like, he grew into it. And yeah, there's some good, like, he's good at playing, like, wacky, and then when he does serious, it's so much different that it really hits you, you know?
Yeah.
Those last, like, 2, 3, like, I've cried more at Doctor Who than any movie. Like, there's been so many touching points in all those shows, I'm like, oh my god, this is so good, you know, like, yeah, it's such a good show. And then, I'm glad it's been redeemed almost, where it got a little campy and almost shat on. And it was always shat on because of the special effects. People always shat on it for special effects.
It used to be a kids' show that adults watched and shat on it because it's a
It was a
kids'
family show, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, Daleks are supposed to scare children. They're not supposed to scare a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
If you can't think past yourself enough to think that this is what it's designed for,
Even so, like, you think about it, if you came up against a Dalek and they were, like, they would scare the shit out of you. Like, they are scary.
you know, but...
People make fun of them because they look like pepper shakers or, you know, like...
Yeah, garbage cans with plungers on them
Yeah.
or whatever. But it wasn't designed to scare you.
But then you go to
The
Weeping Angels or...
The show now is following all those people who are like, oh, it's for kids. I'm not going to watch it. Well, now the
Now it's
show's
not for
becoming
kids, yeah.
what it's followed you up
Yeah.
to where you are now.
Which any good show should do. And
It's
Doctor Who, I think it did, generally, like... There was always, like, it was like a wave thing with Doctor Who. And then eventually they're like, oh no, it's for kids. And you're like, no, that's the low points. But you get, like, any of the, like, Autons from Pertwee's time with those fucking mannequins who their hands shoot open and they shoot guns. Those are fucking scary.
Where the fingers fall down.
And they were deemed too scary for children because they wouldn't show them again because they were so scary. It's because, yeah, that is fucking scary. Faceless things that can shoot and they're like mannequins. That's scary. I love the Master. Like, the Master is,
Awesome.
as a villain, like, the Master, Magneto, like, those are the type of villains I really go towards.
I will say that I have groomed myself.
You do look like the Master now.
I have groomed myself. The Master has always influenced me. I was fortunate that when I was able to first grow facial hair, that the facial hair I was growing was popular.
But it was only coincidence because actually you were
Because
growing it because you were growing because of the Master.
Because the Master always,
He always had a goatee.
and I will always probably.
He's cool. Master, yeah, is important. Doctor Who is... A lot of people are on it now, but it's the old shows that you're like, yeah, this was cool. And there was, even Tom Baker's time, it was probably on the wane at Tom Baker's time, but there's some really... My favorite episode is Horror at Fang Rock. It takes place all inside of a lighthouse, and it's like a murder mystery, and it's awesome. Like, it's so atmospheric and so, like, Victorian, and it ends up being like some weird alien thing killing things, but it's just the way it is. It's such a great story.
Of course, it's a weird alien.
Yeah, but it's like literally, it's not even like a kind of costume. They literally had like a little glowy thing on the ground that was killing things. Like it was actually a thing that the Sonarans, you remember those guys, the potato heads, and they're like in armor always, and they're like warriors.
Oh yeah.
They're always against the Rutans. They're always in a war against these Rutans.
They had the kind of pointy heads, and they always had the black armor and the whole thing.
The thing they were always fighting is these Rutans. They finally showed them it was this little glowy thing on the ground. That was what the villain in that story was. Once again, it's continuity. Doctor Who is continuity. It's all about, the second episode was Daleks, and they're all the way into the newest episode, which comes out tonight, is them against the Daleks. Like, it's continuity. That's the amazing thing. And even the new show, they try not to do it, but they still keep the continuity, which is good.
Because
They didn't throw it out.
at some point, when you fall in love with something, you want to still have not the same story, but
You want to know that all the other stories you fell in love with still exist.
exactly.
They're not
There's
like-
no retcons. There's
Yeah,
no,
that's when they first started the series. They could have said, "This is the first Doctor. He's never had been around before." Now this, but they didn't. They say, "No, this is Doctor number 9. This is the 9th Doctor."
If you want to go back and look,
Yeah.
or if you're a fan, both of you are both
That's right. It doesn't matter.
the fan
You
or
don't
the
have
new
to know
person.
about this.
You're
Yeah.
both on the same
And they didn't even
page.
they didn't even say like you could go back and look. They're just like, "Yep, this is him."
Yeah.
Oh, he's been around for a long time. Okay. Did he ever have any other shows before now?
Maybe for the one who
And I
doesn't,
like how now people are discovering the older shows too. Like there's been a lot of
but they didn't spoon feed you the old shows, nor did they really like just keep dry humping the old
and even
shows.
that's what Stephen Moffat, who's running it now. He's like, yeah, you'll never see the Ronnie or weird people. Like you'll see the Cybermen, you'll see the Daleks. We're not going to show those weird like random people because those are things only the fans would really be into. They wouldn't really understand it. And it's like, yeah, you hit the high points, but you make new points. Like that's the whole point.
Both,
That's a new thing with Doctor. Like you list all the Doctor Who villains. There's probably thousands of them.
oh, yeah.
They never really, other than Daleks, Cybermen, Master, they never really went back to mine too many other ones.
A couple of the reptile ones that were
Silurians.
Silurians,
But even then, they used them sparingly.
right? But it was a monster of the week for about 100,000 weeks. So you've got to think there's a huge. You
Yeah.
could probably write a
And
book.
most of them were 4 episodes, so it's like every month you'd have a different villain for 40 years. Or actually, probably on the air for 30 years before the break. So 30 years times 12, 12. Every month would be a different one, so 12. 30 times 12 minus whatever amount of times they repeated villains, not very often. It's a lot of villains. It's just random shit. And sometimes, it's just crazy-ish. Like, it's amazing the stuff they did. That influenced me a lot, too, with my series. Imagine Doctor Who versus Cthulhu, that's all I'm saying.
But as long as you keep touching on the old stuff, or a subtle nod,
Or just this history,
or something
That's a
that
great thing.
shows that
Yeah. He's driving around in a TARDIS that looks like a freaking police box because it got stuck that way back in 1963. That's all you need. Like,
And the best part of the Master was his wasn't broken.
yeah,
So
it
I
can always
remember-
change.
I remember one show where
It's a pillar or
it was a Greek column in a Greek, and I'm like,
it would be a
that's
pillars a lot because it would be like wherever there'd be like
fucking awesome.
it was always great. Or the Rani too. Hers was always theirs were never broken, which was the best. It was only the Doctor's was broken. And I love the ones where it goes back to Gallifrey, and they're like, yeah, you got the shittiest TARDIS ever. Like, it's the worst one. It's like they call it Type 40 or whatever, and everybody else has like Type 80, it's like the shitty old version. It doesn't work right.
And I like that the people from Gallifrey still have the high collars, those helmety things.
Yeah.
Like, it's a subtle just hint. Like the costumer could make any choices they wanted to.
Yeah, that was, yeah, for what they had, I don't know if they realized it at the time, and you hear interviews, like I watch all my DVDs, I have tons of the DVDs.
Oh, you got ass loads.
Yeah.
I'm surprised the floor hasn't given out on.
I have a
on the
lot of
weight.
the Doctor Who DVDs, are all the 2 layers over there.
Yeah, it's too full on.
When
the
I was
shelf.
working full time, every month I'd buy a different DVD. That was my thing. I was like, I'm trying to get them all. Like when I had a good job,
Oh,
if I had
dear.
a shitty job. But you enter the people in charge, the people running the thing. None of them have the reverence that they don't realize what they created. They don't realize what they've done. It's always funny. They're all like, yeah, it's a job. We had fun. We did this. We did that.
I slapped this on this guy. I made him look like
Yeah.
this. I gave him no forethought.
There's one, I don't
my
remember
life.
which episode they talked about, the theme song was credited to some dude. He was in charge of the radiophonic workshop. But it's actually some lady who actually made the theme song. And they were hitting like high tension lines and things, like to make the noises. It's like, even the beginning, where it looks like it's, they're supposed to be going down the time tunnel.
tunnel, yeah.
It's actually them filming it's an infinity loop. They're filming a video of them filming the video, so it's just, you're actually looking at infinity. Like, it's pretty crazy what they actually did. So, that's itself, you know how it's like all those waves? That's itself filming itself. That's how they created that. Like, it's, like nowadays it'd be computer generated or whatever, and it is computer generated. But that first original, like, it looked like flames almost. That's just them filming a video, filming themselves. Like,
They're just filming
Like
Infinity.
you're filming Infinity, yeah.
and going, hey, you know what? This looks.
And then they would show the guy's face, and then that's why it would like go away because it kept filming itself, so it would get smaller and smaller and smaller until infinity. And then they threw like that's how they did it. Like it's amazing how they created these iconic things just randomly. Like it's
or not maybe randomly, but afterwards thinking flippantly, oh well, I just did that, and it just worked.
Oh, I thought
Yeah,
that
that
might be
just
cool.
worked, but
That's
I'll remember that for the rest of my life.
Yeah, exactly. And the music is just like, it's electronica. Like that's way before electronica was ever made. But none of it's real. Like it's all just made from just random noises, like samplers and stuff. Back in 1963, nobody had a sampler. It was just they cut tape and made this noise that was just amazing. And all the time I'll hear because for the longest time my notification thing was the TARDIS noise, and you don't realize how much things sound like the TARDIS until you have a notification that sounds like the TARDIS because you're like, is that my phone? No, that's just the, my fridge kicking on or something. It's like it sounds just like it. That's where they got the idea. Like it was just random noises. It's amazing, that it's so iconic now. It's just years made it perfect, and it's right from the beginning too. That's amazing. Some things. Have to percolate. First episode, that music's there, that the video's there, like the TARDIS is there, like everything's in the
They
first
probably
episode.
gave them 6 months and said, I need this, 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 and this. And they hit on every one.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like what the TARDIS looks like on the inside, like the console and all that, like it's pretty crazy.
Which gets a little silly at times throughout. Like Tom Baker's, as far as I'm concerned, is the best inside of the TARDIS.
Well, he did have that Victorian one where it's all wood. Remember that one?
No, I don't remember that.
For a while there, he used his secondary control room. It was all wood, and it was very Victorian, but it looked like the TARDIS. It was very Victorian.
That's pretty cool, but I don't
Yeah, it was like
remember
steampunk before steampunk, really. Really, literally, it is steampunk, that other TARDIS control. But yeah, just the white with the circles on the walls, and
it was silver and very...
Yep, going up and down. Yep.
The modern day ones, I look and go, those are way overdone.
Yeah,
Those are silly,
I agree.
Almost like
I
childish.
agree, the new ones are too... And they try to make it look like coral and things. It's so much classic, why would they change it? But they changed it for the movie, actually. If you watch the TV movie, that's when it first starts to be crazy like that. Big open space. It's like, no, I loved it. It was just a little room. All the other rooms off of it.
Yeah, it's sizable, so that you knew that it was bigger than the outside, but still just...
Yeah, it's just a place with circles on the walls. And thing and then
one
goes up and down in the middle,
yeah.
yep. Yeah, it's gotten a little crazy over the years. That's the only thing I don't... Well...
But then again, I'm
understand.
not gonna split hairs over that.
And I do like how the newer ones, they've shown them go upstairs and things, like there's other parts to it, like... And underneath the floor they can go, and...
Well, there you have it. From there it devolves into talking about Amy Pond, so I'll just cut it, I think. Both Jack and I want to find companions to travel the universe with. We're sorry. See you next time.
So, Jack,
Yes, Rob.
if I was going to support a local audio podcast who I loved because the people are just so damn personable, so how would I go about supporting such a small podcast?
I would think, and I'm no expert, I would think that you would want to purchase apparel, knickknacks, accoutrements that have the logo emblazoned on the front. I don't know where you'd find such things. Do you happen to know where I'd be able to purchase that kind of that kind of production?
Well, there is a place. It's a magical place. It's called cafepress.com/Vinland Old Time Radio. And it's got accoutrements.
That the name, it sounds trustworthy right off the bat. I would say right off the top of my head, I'd say that their products are of good quality.
They are quite good quality.
I would say that the looks are of fine nature.
They are a fine nature.
And I think I might just have to purchase something. Where would those proceeds go to, and why would I want to support those people?
Well, I know the proceeds would definitely go to the purchase of alcohol, because we are drunks. And we have habits to maintain. At least it's not drugs.
At the very least, it's not drugs.
It might be hookers, but it's not drugs. The hookers might be on drugs, but technically we're not buying drugs. Is it? Well, we are buying hookers with drugs in their systems, so maybe technically we are buying drugs, but only, third hand. It's called cafepress.com/Vinland Old Time Radio.